Hello. No need to adjust your screens. I am back to occupying my little corner. I made it home last night. I left at 11, landed at 2, home by 9 ish. And so, anyway, so today I went outside to get some drinks that my mom got me, some tea. And I hear like a whole bunch of birds. I hear a bird I've never heard before, and then I hear the familiar ants. And for the first time in my life, and all the years I've been here, the ant, I saw it was a blue jay. I was like, "What? These have been blue jays this whole time." There were a whole bunch of them out there too. I don't know. Anyway, so the blue jay was here today. I'm back home. I mixed the lafruma and the mystical shaman because I think Eve is doing it right now, and she inspired me. I know I wanted to use the lafruma because I haven't used it in a while, just to see what was it. And I kind of want to use the Dreams of Gaia. Interesting. Perth flipped over. That's the card that Zanoni Snowflake, sorry, pulled for me. I watched that video back. I watched part of it back to read the live chat. And not every time, but sometimes I watch a video back, I realize how much I don't say. Like I'll think it and I'll think that I've said it. And then I watch the video and I'm like, I didn't say it. I didn't say the thing. Hola, Sandra. 13. Happy Valentine's Day. Also, by the way, if y'all celebrate. If not, then happy Tuesday. Second Tuesday. My birthday is in exactly 2 weeks. That's what Valentine's Day means to me. Excuse me. I am so tired. So tired. Hey, Holly, how are you doing? Let's see what's a Perth Cosmic Surge. I didn't read it last time. Let's read it. It's the pear tree. What do you recall? Remember that before this there was that. My pear is so ripe you ought to reach for it, but you cannot find me. You sense me in my scent. Listen. Woodwind whistling, whirling, a trance state whipping at the curtain that hides the other places. Will you not dance in and reach for my cosmic fruit offered and surf the cosmos with me? This card came out and it said listen. And I was like, oh, that's funny because I was listening to the bird and now I know it's a blue jay because I saw it. I was looking for it. And then it just flew from one tree into the other. And again, there were a handful of them. The blue jay is the partridge in this cosmic pear tree. Excuse me. See, I already forgot. I'm trying to stay awake today to fix my schedule. I feel like. So I came and I talked about the whole Leo full moon energetic debacle. And then it was super. I had this interesting day where I was talking to my friend and it was in the morning. We talked for like 2 hours. And then he was like, you have this pattern of doing this. And I was like, what? No, I don't. And then the more he kept talking, I was like, wow, I kind of do. And then, like a few hours later, I get this like block. It's not like a whole brick, but it was a block text from my mom that was more or less saying the same thing. And I'm like, hey, like, thanks. Is everything all right? She's like, yeah, it just dropped in my spirit to say something. And usually I don't. Like, I do this and I do that and then I forget. But it felt really important for me today, literally saying what my friend had said. And then somebody else or somewhere else, like I had seen the same. And so there's a new thread opening that is pretty surgy, in essence. And I guess we'll see where we go now. So what for this pear tree? I don't know what tarot deck I'm going to use. What for the pear tree? What for the pear tree? These mega decks be so big. Like, look at this. Look at all this. This is as big as that text was. So this rune used to have the name Feyor in the first draft. So this is the rune that was drawn. I'm pretty sure it was this one. In the rune water. Now I'm coming back. I'm like, I didn't move to London. If I move to London, don't be surprised. And it's like I came back and like somebody was like, oh, so when are you gonna move? And then another friend was like, oh, I thought you had moved. And I was talking to my friend about it before I left. And I don't know, I got like really sad. I got like, I guess it's not strange, but I got like really emotional in like the last day. And even coming back, I was like, I'm ready to go. I don't want to leave. But you know, we'll see where life takes me. Here we go. The medicine wheel and Rod. I like this. Rod has a movement to it. So it's like it's ride and journey. So it's partially like riding the medicine wheel. It's also partially like the medicine wheel is turning. And so it's like emphasizing a different tenant or aspect or direction. So we have a cosmic surge that is turning the medicine wheel. Also, like I said, my word of 2023 is expedition, and there is a certain expedition energy to Rad. So it's like to continue along that expedition to this next thing. So I'll pull the top 3 cards for the beginning of the last color, where it's ending / the transition point, and then going into the next one. What's at the bottom of the deck? Stand still. Stand still in the holy mountain with the heart of the sky. Stand still, holy mountain, heart of the sky is the bottom of the deck. Oh, that's interesting because of the colors. So the start of the last Eve. Yeah. Is this home though? I'm kidding. Yeah, I made it back. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you have the heart-shaped pizza and wine. I usually get myself a heart-shaped pizza and I watch movies. I wasn't gonna do it today, but I think I might. Excuse me. So the beginning of the last color, the beginning of the last phase of this medicine wheel was tear smelt. And it's interesting, like these reds and like the standstill that was at the bottom of the deck. You know, they're not necessarily like yellow oranges, but I mean, the tear is yellow and it's in this red. So, you know, and then there's also like that heart of the sky and the blues. Tear smelt. Proto God so old that time has smelted all emotions away. Or, sorry. Proto God so old that time has smelted all emotions within. War and fury have been hammered, reformed, made over, recreated, refashioned through the compassion to understand all shadows, all destinies as part of the whole. Under the tutelage of Tyr, all blows, all hammer clangs, and all strikes glow from the flow of love's breath. He offers to all life. Wisdom is beauty and compassion, ageless. I feel like usually my pure white screen is brighter. I can see a little easier. So the last part was this smelting with this tier. The transition in between the last and the next is soul retrieval. Number 49. I feel like there was a 13 here. And then the next color, the next phase is the sun, which is number 53. And so there's like this 53-35 between the sun and the medicine wheel. But also the standstill is number 52. And it's like after the standstill, like soaking up this cosmic surge energy at the standstill gate, emerging like solar powered or whatever. I feel like I saw this is 14. Rod is 5, so that's a 5-5. 49 is 13, 17. So now I want to get some tarot to break this down even more. Don't ask me what I'm doing today. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I have to do. I feel like one really good thing. So, as part of that 2-hour conversation, I feel like being vague, so without absolute clarity, there are things that I've seen, things that I would like to do far, far out into the future. So maybe like my second Saturn return, um, which would make sense in a way. Or not even my second Saturn return, just like in like 15 to 20 years, maybe 10, 15, 20 years, there are things that I'd like to do, maybe 25, 30. There are other things that I really like. The thing that I really like came with, and it's for since high school. Um, so for over a decade, there's been this like, I really like this, but I feel like it can negatively impact some people. Basically, it's automation. There's no need for mystery. Like I love computers, and there's always been this argument of like, well, if we if we automate everything, like it's gonna take away jobs. And my high school teacher was like, well, someone has to program this computer, someone has to be there with the robots or whatever. But it's like, yeah, but like, so you're like the work of 100 people, it's not going to take that same 100 people to run that same place. So you might go from like 100 to maybe 20 or maybe even 10. And so, like, it's no secret that I love like computers and coding, and like I would love to get into like controls and automation and stuff like that. But it's like, I don't want to be in a field that's like taking away jobs from people. And then I was talking to my friend, and he was like, well, with the way that the world is right now, like it's a lot of industries that are experiencing shortages in the workforce, and it's a lot of people who aren't wanting to do those jobs anymore. So now it's like there's a better argument for automation, or there's like the cons are less conning and the pros are more proing, because now it's like people could pursue things that they want to do. And for the people who want to do those jobs, I'm sure there'll still be positions where they can do it. You know what I mean? And so I was like, oh, like it eliminated that sort of source of conflict or contention. Why do I bring that up? Because it was this like unforeseen circumstance has shifted in this particular instance, and I'm sure it applies to others. Unforeseeable circumstance has shifted the world in a way where what was maybe detrimental at one point is now a sought solution. And it's almost like this alignment of things. It's like the time is right now to really expand in that, because collective desire has shifted. And in the void of that shift in desire is this solution. And it, like if the medicine wheel is the wheel of fortune, as this is shifting into the next season, like that, it feels that again, like it just fills that void, it fills that gap without that impact, because again, the world has shifted. Also, happy Black History Month. This is like the third or fourth year I've had this channel, and I feel like I've never had a deck, or like I've never done a spread or whatever. But 14 days in the US, it's a thing here. I'm gonna use the Tarot of the Abyss though, because it's here and I saw it and I want to use it. So for the that was immediate. The tier card came out face down on top of Soul Retrieval, but I'm gonna put it on tier. And then another card flipped over face up. For the Soul Retrieval, and then for, oh gosh, the Sun. Oh goodness. So two cards flipped over in the deck. Two cards flipped over face down on top of the other card. I already forgot. Who are you? The Soul Retrieval. So two cards flipped over face down between Soul Retrieval. It touches all of them. But it's mostly like Soul Retrieval into the Medicine Wheel and then up into the Perth Cosmic Surge. And then the third card flipped all the way over on top of Tier, and it's pointing up towards the Medicine Wheel. So it almost like does this. I could literally just take a picture and show you. Bottom of the deck is the Eight of Cups. Oof. I feel like this is going to be a personal reading that y'all are just like here for. So it's probably going to be one of those readings where I think a lot more than I say, and then I watch it back. The funny thing is, though, like when I watch it back, sometimes, a few times, regardless of how much time has passed, when I watch it back, like those same lines of thought, like they come back to my mind. And then that's when I'm like, oh, like I didn't even say this, like because I remember the whole thing as it unfolded in my mind. Hola, Perry, welcome. Creative and passionate individuals who love their lives and they're focused on generosity and flexibility. Yeah. And I guess like you're saying, Holly, like it's a good thing to be considerate of. Or at least I think so. I think it's a good thing to be considerate of how like my choices impacts the lives of others. Some people are just like they don't see it as a problem. And no one way is necessarily the right way, because it's not, at the end of the day, does it matter. Sorry. It's not that it doesn't matter, but at the same time, one second. Sorry. This is my reading. Who am I apologizing to? I'm kidding. Kinda. Okay, sorry, I'm back. Rob, he came to my mind earlier today. I was gonna send him a message. I was like, I should see what Rob's up to. Because I booted up my computer and the Blizzard launcher popped up. And then Rob came to my mind. Oh, the picture that I took. So this is how the cards fell out. Um, there we go. So these two cards and this card fell out when the Sun card came out. These two flipped over inside the deck. So these two flipped over like that, and this one flipped over like this. And you see how they're kind of like all going towards a point. There you go. Can we summon Rob with all of the collective coming to? I wonder if I'm sure everything's all right, right? Are we all thinking about Rob right now? We'll do. Rob is taking hold of the collective. Who's at the top of the deck? The council. Is that the La Fruma? The council and La Fruma. Oof. Okay. So I want to. Well, these are up here, so I know where they came out. I'll just leave those here. So clarifying the tier smelt is this Ace of Swords that came out face up, and then face down, it's the Three of Pentacles. What the freak is this? Well, that was the Blue Jays that flew into the tree. Did anyone else know that Blue Jays go? I've heard that all my life. I've never seen a Blue Jay here, but I've heard that all my life. So Pentacles can be it's feeling like life experiences, different life experiences. Because of the rope, it's making me think of the Hanged Man, and if that's the runes, then that would be the Ace of Swords. Do they really? I feel like that makes sense though, because I can hear like a hawk or something like making that kind of noise. 1 second. Okay. Change is always happening and inevitable. Mm. So it feels like different life experiences that work together to lead to a new understanding. This, the lemniscate, the infinity, like that, was on the sale on the Two of Pentacles in the Clarity Tarot. And it was like instead of an either or, when we move to a both and, there's this one ship that can come in. I remember seeing the Two of Pentacles in between the Ten of Swords and the Ten of Pentacles. It was a Ten of Pentacles, Two of Swords, Ten of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles, Ten of Swords. 1 second. I know I'm like fairly distracted, but it's fine. And then it's like there are these three main branches that all sort of come into the crown or come off of the crown. So there's a woman here reaching out. This looks like a house, like a roof and part of a wall to a house. The soul retrieval card came out face up, and it's the Knight of Cups. This is interesting. So oh, 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 oh. And then the sun is the awakening with the Two of Swords. I don't know what this is. So this is all working together down here. Because this was the beginning of the last healing phase was the Three of Pentacles and the Ace of Swords. So maybe it was like the beginning, middle, and end. Beginning, middle, end, all sort of culminate in this Ace of Swords. The next phase is this awakening that happens outside of either of these. And this is interesting because when I was shuffling the deck, Your came out with some other cards. And then when I was shuffling it again, Your came out again. And Your has that it's an X with a line through its shape, and it makes me think of this. But if this is the line, this is the east, and then that's that crossroads destiny point. But it's to arise from that, almost choose neither face, and then awaken to this other one. The in between is the soul retrieval with this Knight of Cups. And this Knight of Cups is hoisting a sail to go somewhere. So it's like it's crossing this vast body of water. Now, the sun that comes off of Tyr is the Queen of Swords. So this is what the sun gives to this energy, which artistically it feels like there is a throughput here. In the next phase, in the next cycle, there is a great understanding of this. I typically put kings and queens on the same playing field, but in terms of like progression into the suit, the king is the 14th, the queen is the 13th. So it's like a step before a complete mastery. It's also interesting that, like, instead of gripping the hilt, now she's gripping the blades, but she's not being cut by it. So it almost feels like one of those it can cut other things, but like it won't cut you types of safety features. The two cards for the Soul Retrieval Knight of Cups, it's the Queen of Pentacles and the Page of Wands. The Queen of Pentacles has used the key to unlock something and to pull this Ace of Pentacles from like beneath the ground. And then the Page of Wands is there. So it's almost like there are two great lands, and then there's the water in between them. This one was leaning towards the previous one. So it's almost like this is what was unlocked beneath all of the lessons, beneath all of the experiences, beneath the challenges, the victories, the setbacks, everything. There was something about the experience that was gained. And it's being taken to this sort of dock to meet this Knight of Cups. So it's almost like it's going to be a handoff to take to, it's like that's the wisdom. Out of everything, that's the wisdom, that's the lessons that are taken forward into the next thing while everything else is sort of left behind. It's the relevant bits. And so the next phase, oh, and look, there is a slightly birdie, yeah, it's kind of birdie feeling of this sun. The sun in tarot is number 19 and awakening is number 20. And see, it's interesting because like there is no face, but the face is in the sun card. And then we have this awakening. Also, again, this brought the Queen of Swords and this Two of Swords energy. So, whatever the next phase of this, stand still, the holy mountain, the heart of the sky, the face. Oops. So, one is the sun, the other is the heart of the sky. And then there's the blank face in between. Girl. Under that is the sorcerer. Whatever all this is, the next phase is going to be interesting to say the least. After the standstill in the holy mountain. Oh, standstill in holy mountain is 5225. I didn't even realize that. 5225 and then 5335 is the sun, and I thought there was a 35 here. Maybe not. $5 movie Tuesday. I could have went to the movies, but our movie theater is gone. I mean, I'll find something to watch that I've wanted to watch for a while. So, Queen of Swords, Queen of Pentacles, Knight of Cups, Page of Wands. The element that is the least explored is fire, which for Patrick makes sense. Like, I feel like you can watch me and probably guess that. Well, I mean, Earth. Uh, well, I guess that's the thing about the Queen of Pentacles. There's something deeper that she's abstracting from this. So, in that regard, yes, I guess I can see that. Outside of that, Three of Pentacles, Ace of Swords, Two of Swords. There's like no, I guess the Knight of Cups here, but is here, but that's the only water, which is interesting. But water has sort of established itself as the thing in between other things. particularly between the earth, continents separated by oceans, seas, lakes, rivers, countries separated by the same. I have, I like the Santa Muerte, but some of the cards are not hard to read, but not the easiest. I want to use a little mini deck. I would do it randomly. I'll do the Line Strider Tarot because it has an art style most similar to the Tarot of the Abyss, even though all of these cards can be just as not easy to pull stuff from. So, ooh, that's what's important. Is that you enjoy the day, however, it's for you to enjoy it. Why am I pulling these? Oh, this Pinnacle. That's what I want to know. See, but the Magician. Will you focus? There you go. See where the Pinnacle is? It's the one way down there. The Three of Cups at the bottom of the deck. There it is. And the Hanged Man. Three of Pentacles. From the Three of Cups to the Three of Pentacles. The Magician and the Hanged Man. I'll keep this. Let's get another card. Like in the in between. Since the standstill is also sort of in between. Oof. Now Ken is at the bottom of the deck with the wind behind it and Wickercraft behind that. 663. Ken is the divine spark and a torch. The card that came out. Oh, two cards came out. I only noticed the one. The first one is Swelgeness, and I was like, haha, lol. Okay, sure. Because I'm pulling this for the in between, that's where the Knight of Cups is. The Knight of Cups is on this whirlpool, in this whirlpool. It's like Aeneas. Is it the Aeneid or was it the Odyssey? Odysseus? Maybe I think it's actually Odysseus. The one who like went and fought the war and then it took him like 20 years to get home. Like this water in between these two lands was Swelgeness. I almost wonder if the swelgeness is subsiding though, as like the season changes. So it's like in this other season, tropical storms are a lot less likely, or it's like the temperature of the water and the temperature of the air and the thermal plates, everything sort of like matches more. So there's less movement in all of the chaos of change. The second card that I didn't even see that came out is Whackin', which is Wake Up, Originate. There was something Tear. Tear is the one that has an energy of a time before time. Swelgeness is the past, but with this Originate, okay. Hey Renee, how you doing? I haven't. I've been one like I love that deck, but sometimes it's like maybe I should have went for it because I wanted to grab it, but I was like, I feel like it'll be a hassle to get it, so I didn't. 46, 46. Hey, so the standstill is 52. Number 53 was the Holy Mountain. Swelgeness is 51. And it's the past. Swelgeness represents the past. So it's interesting that it's like 52, 53, but then we go back to the past with the 51 that predated both the 52 and the 53. Whacken is number 69, which is the only self mirroring number. Interesting. So basically, everything that came to mind when Zanoni Snowflake pulled the Perth card, and I was like, I know what this means, like for me, or I know where this is taking me, but I'm not going to talk about it. I was like, yeah, it's I see it. As far as what it means, I'm sure I'll live life and find out. Who knows? We'll see. It was an Ace of Swords. So anyway, I kind of want to just like pull a bunch of cards today. Use some of the decks I haven't used in a minute. One, two, three, four on the clock. You know what? I'll grab a Wild Unknown Alchemy card. Because why not? Here it is. I was like, I literally just had it. I might need the book, so I won't close that yet. Oop. Where is this going? In the middle or on opposite sides? We'll do opposite sides. So, oop, 2, fine. And then this, oh my gosh. Bottom of the deck is Solutio Dissolution. Number 55? No. 65. Number 65. On this side, it's Calcanatio, Calcification, and Rosa Aureum, the Golden Rose. Number 64 and 58. On the tear smelt side. Calcification, tear smelt, sure, why not? On the other side, oh, this is too many. Sanguis, which is blood. Resina, resin. Sanguis is number 37. And then 38. Resin. Number 6, Jupiter. And is that Mars? No, Ferrum. Number 22, Iron. It's all this on the other side. What's interesting though is like it feels like this sanguis blood is the extraction of the gold from the rose. And it's like when it's removed, the rose bleeds and it becomes this red, but then you get this, and then that is this resin or whatever. It's encased in a resin. Girl, at this point, I don't even know why I thought this was so good. It's fine. But like, it's like something had to happen to calcify the gold in the rose in the first place. It's like the rose creates the gold. All right, see you, Holly. Enjoy your day. Like that's a pearl. So the gold calcifies in the rose like sand calcifies into a pearl in oyster or clam. And then it's Jupiter and iron. Iron is associated with Mars, I guess. Salutio and then the Y saw. I saw this card at the cut when I was shuffling. Sal Simpiente. The Salt of Wisdom. Salutio Dissolution. So it's like well, that was the thing, right? That was this Queen of Pentacles. It was like taking the wisdom of the previous cycle, of the previous chapter. It's like condensing all of the experiences down to what needs to move forward and then basically leaving the rest. All of that, this was calcifying something within the rose into this piece of gold. the gold is this Ace of Swords that within the context of that same environment, it's almost like it's too indistinguishable from everything else. And so, in the process of transiting into this next chapter with the soul retrieval and the Knight of Cups, it's like there are certain things within that previous chapter that shine more because they stand out. It's like literally like a diamond in the rough. You like brush away all of the dirt and the, I want to say salt, but you brush away all of the grime and then you see the shiny thing. It's like, oh, but when the diamond is in the rough, like you can't tell where it is. Kirsty, I'm back. I think I would have moved to London. I'm only partially kidding. Happy Valentine's Day, Kirsty. I don't know. I'm sure, yeah, it's a thing over there, right? I am. I was so sad to leave. I got so unexpectedly emotional. Like my last day there. But he's going to be going to Canada like this weekend anyway. So I could have squeezed out a few more days, but it's fine. I might be back in August. It's a huge might. It's a very, very big maybe. Um, but if I can swing it, I'll be back in August. But I don't know if like how much I'll have time to do. Okay. So that's what these different experiences in life, because it's feeling like every hand has a pentacle and those pentacles represent different experiences. Maybe like since it was the first 30 years of my life, essentially, each decade, like a decan in a zodiac sign, each decade sort of presented its own challenges and stuff like that. And then as I'm nearing this, what's 3 decades? I guess the next 30-year period of my life. Because Saturn returns are roughly 30-ish years, like 28 to 29 to 30 years. As I'm in this in between again, the diamonds are starting to stand out, and it's this process like the end of 2022, the beginning of this year, like in this post Saturn return phase, I guess. It's really like extracting out all these things. And like I said, I had this conversation with my friend, and then I get this text from my mom, basically both saying the same things. And it's like now I know what I need to know to move forward in a very like Two of Wands way, I guess. But technically, anyway, doesn't matter. So that's this. Thank you. This is like actually making sense. I was a little lost and intimidated for a second. That was the calcification of the gold in the rose. Now on the other side, again, the the gold is pulled out and the rose is sort of left behind. But the gold is a seed, and the reason why I mention that is because with this solutio, there's something that has like congealed. I want to say coalesced. Like there's this coalescence of all of the past experiences. And then with the solutio, it's like I can break it down when I need it or something. It's something like that. Because it's like that's a resin. Resin is given like an amber energy. It's something that's preserved. So this thing that was removed is preserved and it's kept, it's carried. And it can be broken down and reaccessed whenever for that wisdom. So it's like turning the pearl back into sand, but the sand of the pearl is this salt of wisdom. It's like coalesced wisdom. So it's like that. Then we come into Jupiter and iron. There's something about There's like this 3 and 3. 3 decades equals a period of 30 years. It takes 3 decades to create this one piece of gold. A human lifespan is ish 90 years, we'll say, plus. So there'll be like roughly 3 different like golds to acquire. Whatever this is, this feels like because like the thumb technically isn't a finger, it feels like things that we come into this existence with. Be it like the things that we just know deep within our souls. It can be from past lives, it can be from the divine, it can be from, doesn't matter where it's from. It's just that it's wisdom that we have that we don't have to coalesce, or that wasn't coalesced in this lifetime. And then there's the iron, which I'll probably read, number 22. You've been thinking of Rob too? Have you been thinking of Rob, Kirsty? Rob is on everyone's mind, so. You're on your third? Oh, snap. I can't even. With the first one being what it was and ending the way it ended. You texted him yesterday? Okay. See, I'll probably send him a message today. I was going to send him a message anyway, but now that I'm home, the card under, what's interesting is the card under salt is sugar, which is 31. So it's like it can be, it's almost, maybe it's like a hindsight energy. Like I was saying the other day, how like sometimes there's a not great experience, but with enough time and with enough of what time has the opportunity to bring, sometimes we can reflect on it kind of fondly, even though it wasn't that great. Under that is Pluto, which is 10. Let's read iron. Yours said, "You alive, bruh?" He's been Virgoed. Oh no. Well, maybe he can handle Virgoing. 22. Ferrum, iron. Oh, iron is in the blood. Iron is what gives blood its red color. It's the presence of iron in the blood that allows it to transport oxygen throughout the body. So, this, because this is bringing out like a this lifetime versus previous lifetimes versus future lifetimes, or if we keep it within the same incarnation, like again, this is the stuff that the divine gives us. It's our own internal knowing. These are the golds that we accumulate throughout our lives. These represent all of the gold that we have yet to calcify and collect from those roses, right? But it's iron that gives blood its red color. It's iron that helps blood to transport oxygen to the lungs, to be filled up, and then throughout the body for that oxygen to be distributed. And then there's the solutio, which is the dissolution of this. So again, it's like this is the release of the oxygen to different parts of the body carried by the iron. So the blood is the water, and the continents are the organs, and then the self is the body. There's something about this Pluto card, which is like a gold in death. And so maybe it's like it's this opportunity as we transit. So, like, there's the gold that you accumulate within the experience itself. And then it's like as you transit or migrate from one experience to the next experience, it's an additional bonus gold that we have the opportunity to sort of create in the in between. It's like when I compare where I am now with where I was before, there are these additional revelations that I can kind of sort of pull out of it. Like I have what I learned in that, and then like I have like it's like looking into the difference, or it's like it's like when you round up a purchase, so you have that extra change over time. It's like that change adds up to whatever amount of money. It's the difference, if that makes any sense. Like if you're like if you keep track of your spending, but you round up your purchases to like the next dollar. So like there's like you have an extra 2 cents, you have an extra 5 cents, you have an extra 90 cents that you operate, or you treat it as if it's already spent because that's how you keep track of it. But at a certain point you get to collect all those cents and maybe you have dollars, right? So it's like bonus money, even though it's not really bonus money. You know what I mean? It's gold gained in between. Do I still want to read this iron? I didn't even read it. I was just like, oh, ferrum. I don't know why ferrum was like hemoglobin. Duh. Iron is a reliable metal that can withstand great pressure. Over the centuries, we have come to utilize this metal extensively, mixing it with carbon to create the steel bridges, highways, and infrastructures that span across the globe. In alchemy, iron is associated with the planet Mars and shares its qualities of being strong, assertive, and potentially warlike. When the iron card appears, there is a call to rely only on the reliable. What truly supports you? What have you already built? Iron dwells at the center of the earth, so when all else feels lost, go inward. There is a deep magnet there that pulls you toward what is steady and true. For the moment, put your words and weapons down and let yourself be held by the structures that is already in place. Structures that are already in place, structure that is already in place. But this iron makes me think of the tear smelt here, all the way down here. Smelting, iron. There's still something about Jupiter that feels unread or overlooked. Um, Besides it just being representing like a single lifetime. Soul retrieval, yeah. Okay. The soul retrieval is with that Knight of Cups. Because there's an energy here. Like throughout different incarnations, if you believe, throughout different chapters of our lifetimes, we build up these nuggets of gold. Soul retrieval is like the stockpile of those nuggets. Like this, consider this to be a nugget of gold, and consider this to be like me, since it's more personal, or you, since anybody can, if you resonate, you resonate, if you don't, you don't. This is a nugget of gold. When we need this, we engage this solutio and we turn it into a wisdom that we can use at the present moment. But decentralized to a single lifespan, it's like throughout these different lives, every life is another finger. With wherever Jupiter just went, every life is a different finger. Girl, what is happening? Hello? What? What is? What is? What is popping? What are you doing? What are you doing? What is happening? Like my computer's just like stuff is popping up. Oh, maybe it's like, ooh. Okay. So like this is the stuff from the divine slash from the soul. This is the stuff that we gain from lifetime to lifetime. I I was at Purdue for a long time, and it felt like I had different lifetimes just at Purdue. I'd be like, oh yeah, I was an RA in a past life, and a past life was like a year ago, 2 years ago. Because I feel like I lived maybe 2 or 3 lives in 2022, just because of like there were different periods that were like marked by such big lessons or by events that lasted a certain amount of time, or a person who was in my life for a certain amount of time, or whatever. So this soul retrieval is when we sort of like collect, create, or stockpile these nuggets of gold. But it also, like when we use the solutio again to break it back down into wisdom, the salt of wisdom, or a sugar, sacrum. It's like both of those energies, if that makes sense. Yeah. Look at this. You see that? In the originate of whacking, it's like the one on the thumb and then this feel similar in energy. Okay. I'm going to put all these cards back. That was fun, I guess. Perth Cosmic Surge. And then the kin at the bottom of the deck, of course. Being a child was, I was the type of person that didn't want to grow up. I was like, growing up just seems like it comes with like bills and stress and all kinds of stuff. Like, I like my video games, my naps, being fed, not having to work, and not having to pay bills. But being a grown up isn't too bad, I guess. It's cool to be able to do stuff sometimes. No, I'll do this one backwards. Ah. I'll do an alchemy and then I'll use the mystical Lafruma. Did I put them back in the box? I did. And me. Do. King of Cups. Oh, snap. At the cut. From a knight to a king. Oh, this card, I didn't even put this card back. The Page of Wands was left out. Page of Cups. Bottom of the deck, Three of Pentacles. With the High Priestess under that Three of Pentacles. I did get to see my grandma this morning, though. I went to Starbucks. I passed so many Starbucks in the UK. Didn't get to the single Starbucks. I still haven't had tea and crumpets. I still haven't had a traditional English breakfast. I'll have plenty of stuff to do next time. However, what did I discover? I don't know. Come on. Shuffle, shuffle. There we go. Ooh, this deck is massive. Thank you. No problem. Ooh. I didn't even think about that. Again, like one of my cousins made a comment on like my Facebook and was like, "Oh, like I want to go with you next time and get some tea and crumpets." And it's like there are things that I don't remember to do when I'm over there, and then I come back and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't do this or I didn't do that." Well, Number 15 came out. What was 15? Did it come out? Was there a 1551? I don't remember. Perth came out again. Again, this card came out again. It came out in the pre-shuffle. Zanoni pulled it for me. It came out last time. I did a whole thing. Here it is again. This Cosmic Surge, though, is protected. It came out with Elks, 1415. It's like this is the elk that roams the pear tree forest. Who's at the bottom of the deck? Why not? Health, 61. 14, 15, 61. It doesn't even go 16. 14, 15, 61. If I can pick it up. That is the gold that forms, potentially. It's also my solar eclipse rune. Is that? Yeah, that's Moon River. Way around the bend. But it's like the Bayonetta Moon River. That's not. Fly Me to the Moon was Frank Sinatra. Moon River. I want to say like Audrey Hepburn sang it, but Audrey Hepburn might not even be a person. It might be Katharine Hepburn, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't Katharine Hepburn. I don't know, people. I don't know. Moon River. Okay. So, Collective Alchemy. Audrey Hepburn, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Hey. Okay, so I'm not completely whatever. Yes. Aurum Gold. Ooh, girl. Okay. Collective Alchemy. Enough about me. What about the collective? Collective Alchemy. Just one. If it resonates, it resonates. If it don't, it don't. I'm sorry. Not really, but you know. I'm sorry for you, I guess, if you watch it and it doesn't resonate. Because it's time you won't get back. Collective Alchemy. The card that came out is number 38. Oh, two cards came out. Okay. Because I was like, this ain't a lot to. Oh. This is some anti-hemispheric activity. Um, I haven't seen Breakfast at Tiffany's either, Eve. So that's two of us. The card that came out is Summer Estes. And I was like, okay. So the Collective Alchemy is a season. It's summer in the Southern Hemisphere right now. I think Renee said she's in the Southern Hemisphere. But the reason why it's like anti-hemispheric, whatever, is because it came out with melanosis, which is darkening. But it doesn't get dark in the summer. It gets dark in the winter. So it's like whichever hemisphere you're in, it's like it's the season of one hemisphere with the solar pattern of the card that came out, or the card at the bottom of the deck, is Unus Mundus, synchronicity. But you see how it's like light and dark at the same time, all circling around this? That's this energy. Because it's like it's not dark in the summer, it's dark in the winter, which is the opposite of summer. So it's playing on how like I don't know if it's necessarily how we focus so much in our own experience and how like on the other side of the planet, why isn't it just making it easy? It's a romantic movie. Oh yeah, okay. Hmm. That's what I'm gonna eat. All right, that's what I'm gonna eat with my pizza. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna watch when I eat my heart shaped pizza. I'll watch Breakfast at Tiffany's. Thank you for the movie recommendation. You've just completed my um plans for today. See, but even in the summer card, it's like there's a reference to what happens on the other side of the plan. I'm like, what is this? Under Unus Mundus is Saturni. It's Saturn. But you see like the same dark and light thing in Saturn. You see Saturn with its sickle. Saturn was associated with agriculture. Saturn is number 68. I mean, Unus Mundus is 68. Saturn is number 7. The melanosis darkening is number 12. And then 28 is summer. So it's like there are things that occur that we can see that are, there are things that are happening that we don't see. I don't know if it's an energy that's like out of sight, out of mind isn't really a thing because it's still happening. It's just happening out of sight. And then it's one of those like how the universe changes as we observe it, or how particles behave differently when observed. So it's like there's the thing that they do in the presence of, I don't want to say in the presence of consciousness. Honestly, it's a little bit of like fate and free will. It's almost like in the absence of consciousness, there's fate. In the presence of consciousness, it's free will. Almost. It's like fate is the default script. Free will is when we come in and we move things. Potentially, maybe not. We'll see. This is more. You do like strange. Oh, oh gosh. Oh. Remember how I was talking about your? It's back. So, like, this was the Two of Swords on the ground. This was the person, like, kneeling there. Oh, gosh, I'm glad I found it. I was like, some cards flipped over in the middle of the deck, but it's huge. I think it was just those two. Bottom of the deck is the medicine wheel. So we have the medicine wheel with Unis, and there's a snake on the medicine wheel. with Unus Mundus. The medicine wheel is number 35. What was 53? Was 53 the Holy Mountain? Maybe that was the 35 53. The two cards that flipped over inside the deck are number 54 and 43. Waterfall and the Rattle. 28. This is 18. I said 28. Summer is 18. I was like, whoa, that's 28, 28. No, that's not a 28. That's 18. Your also came out, which is number 28. Well, Waterfall. Oh, your Waterfall and the Rattle. Waterfall. Kirsty pulled this one for me. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Kirsty pulled this. Zanoni pulled 14. The difference was 40, which Zanoni pulled for the collective of people watching. Your Waterfall. It's almost like your Waterfall is like YOUR Waterfall. And as your Waterfall is Waterfalling, the sound that it makes is the rattle. So your Waterfall are the things that you consciously do. The things that you consciously do rouse these other things from their slumber. So, in addition to this being like a fate and free will, it's also like when we engage our free will, when we deviate from the default settings or the default programming, we set ourselves on a path where other things now have to come to the surface. It's like they have to be replaced by something. Replace, and then it's like the universe, the world, sort of brings in sort of like the next thing. It's like if someone constructs a maze, but the maze is just like you're presented like door number 1 or door number 2. Like the building is already constructed. Everything is already there. It's like your free will choice is like, which door do I pick? And then the universe comes in, like whatever is in that room is in that room. And then you're presented with another choice. You make it through that room, there are more doors. You choose another door, like same thing. It's like door, room, door, room, door, room. We choose the doors. We don't necessarily choose what's in the room. So it's also kind of sort of about knowing like where our choice is versus like the repercussions or the consequences of those choices. Like consequence is just what's inside the room after we make the choice. It doesn't have to be bad. It is what it is. It's the result of that choice. Sometimes we don't make a choice. And not making a choice, it's also making a choice. And there are things that happen wherever we're sort of like making that decision. So that's why it's like your waterfall is a rattle and it feels like it causes something else to happen or it signifies and signals something else. Your world serpent destiny. There's always some point in time that is destined. How that fated moment unfolds is in our hands as we step towards it. Thor and Yor were forever woven together, always destined to die together. Pierce and stitch a pathway toward your Yor. Start sowing fearlessly further onwards. Do not skirt your issues. Yor is a time given gift. Yor is a time given gift. Waterfall, mystical healing. When the taste of everything has soured, even love is pestilential, and all is winter bleak, it is time to speak with air. Valkyrie, god healer, never ending beacon of primal salt rhyme. Stay present, stop seeking answers. The noxious hurt is nomadic and will walk away. As sure as the waters wear the rocks or rise through the trees, create the clouds or dance throughout blood as sacred songs. Samba with the cascading joy of water's ceaseless laughter. I feel like I read that weird, but it's fine. As sure as the water wears the rock or rises through the tree, creates the cloud or dances throughout blood as sacred song. Samba with the cascading joy of water's ceaseless laughter. This card mentions the winter, all that is winter bleak, but the season is summer. So this isn't your, it's almost like the expectation is for Thor and Jormungandr to fight at Ragnarok and kill each other. That winter bleak occurrence brings about other things. But since the season is summer, it's like it doesn't have to end that way. Destiny brings them together. Free will is what they choose once they reach that point. In a way. That's how it's reading here. Okay. Now, there are certain things that transpire in our lives that make us think or believe that when we reach this point, it's for this reason. This is the thing that is for me to do. But at that moment, we still have choice. We have the choice to do the thing that we have thought or believed or were conditioned to think or believe up until that point, or to take the moment as a moment and to see that the thing that we thought we had to do, we might not necessarily need to. When we make the choice of summer, making the choice of summer, where we're presented with the winter, causes a change in things, and it makes this other darkened path rise into the light. We choose a different door, we go on a different pathway. It's almost like there are these platforms that like rise and fall as we're walking. There are rooms that, if you walk into a room, you turn the lights on. If you're not in that room, you turn the lights off. There's a certain path that is like it's lit up. So we, without necessarily thinking, we keep following the lights. We believe that fate and destiny reign supreme and there is no choice that we make, for all choices are already made. If it don't resonate, don't take it. Right. But this is how it's reading. Because we always see the light and because we follow that path, we don't necessarily see all of the junctures, all of the times and points and places where we can make a choice. But there is another choice. It's like there's another door. There's a path that branches off. And sometimes we like see it clearly and plainly. Sometimes it's out of the corner of our eye. And we go, what's down this path? And it has automatic lighting. As you walk down that path, now that path lights up. And it's like that's this unus mundus Like now, this other thing, sort of like that light turns on and the other light goes dark because it's to save power, right? It's a power saving feature. The medicine wheel is here with candle and Daystar. So this is almost like throughout the process of healing, through the process of everything that we've gone through and everything that we've experienced. It's almost like this hermit energy, and the hermit was coming out of the Clarity Tarot. It's almost like this hermit energy where we find or produce our own light. We light our own way so that we can see the things besides what is already lit, if that makes sense. I don't know why I did lit. This is like engaging the power of free will and engaging the power of choice by choosing. And then under that candle is leaf. Now this new path unfurls, it unfolds. "42 is candle, 47 is leaf. The medicine wheel is 35. Interesting spot that the collective is in. But it's not too different from what the Clarity Tarot was saying. So exactly, Perry. Cool. All right. Now I'll separate the decks out, get final cards, and wrap this up. I could have time stamped the collective one, but it's fine. Maybe I'll go back and timestamp it. Maybe I won't. Who knows? There are things that I need to do to start moving things forward. And I was going to do it tomorrow, but why not start today? Why not? I think another way to like bring this down or contextualize it, it's like, let's say that for the past X amount of time, you've been on a healing journey. Let's say your healing journey is something as simple as you noticing that, like, there's something that triggers you, or there's this thing, there's a pattern of experiences that you've noticed. You play in that pattern for a for an amount of time before you realize the pattern. Then you recognize the pattern. After recognizing the pattern, it's like we try to see if new experiences that we come across have like follow that same pattern. And then we like shortcut the experience and be like, nope, you're that. I'm done. Already did it. But there's something in the healing of the medicine wheel. There's something in the healing of the water gafal that it's like it gets us to close whatever that wound is. Right. And so then there's an opportunity. Fate brings us in contact with something or someone. And it's like there's the, not to make it either or, but it's like there's the healed choice and then there's the patterned response. The healed choice takes us on this new pathway, on this different pathway. One that's been mentioned because of all of the healing that we have done, because of the things that we noticed before we were presented with that opportunity to make us aware of the thing of the peripheral rather than the straight and narrow that we're on. In that moment, it's like we can take that turn, we can pivot into something new. As I was talking about this, like I lost it. I was like, where was I going with this? I mean, that's basically it, though. That fate, destiny, like that was the point of our meeting. The point of our meeting was it was an opportunity point for us to go in a different way. That was the point. Because with it's like this assumption that we fight. So like we come upon something and it's like, is it the same? Our brain might automatically go, oh, it's the same as everything else. Like now we fight, and then it takes us down that path. But it's like the purpose of the lessons, the purpose of the tower moments, the purpose of the healing, the purpose of some of those things was to show us that there can be another way. And while our pattern response and our defensive sort of tactics and our self-preserving instinct might tell us that like it's dangerous to proceed or that it is what we've always experienced. It's like something in all of that healing is to give us a chance to realize when something isn't as we might perceive it to be. And then we take that new path and we experience a whole new life. There you go. If it's not about fate and destiny and free will and stuff like that, it's just realizing when something isn't like too good to be true or when something isn't like every other thing that we've ever experienced. It helps us learn to differentiate intuition from self-preservation or fear or paranoia or anything else. And paranoia is a little extreme. More so than paranoia, it's just a pattern, right? But it's like it might not necessarily be that. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Use your own discernment for you. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you'll make your own choices, as is for you to do. But it just feels like there's something that transpires to help make us aware of when something is truly different. And of when we can take that pick off point, that branch off point into, again, a whole new experience. One that wasn't as explored as the pathways that we're used to. Hence why it's a little darker. Just darker in the sense of like more unknown, or darker in the sense of like not yet revealed. But again, as you walk down that path, the automatic lights kick on, your eyes adjust, etc., etc. All right, I have separated this one from that one. No problem. Glad to be here. Tear and towardness. Smelt the future. Cool. Thorn Tear. Somebody got Thorn and Tear. A zodiac sign got Thorn and Tear a long time ago when I was reading with the little runes that I printed off. Because I remember it was like Thorn Tear or Tear Thorn, and I was like, it sounds like it should be the other way. Scorpio, Thorn Tear, an extraction of light, a baptism in shadow. It was the second rune reading I did on a series. I think I'll finish it. I only did Capricorn, Scorpio, Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, and Sagittarius. One of the many incomplete zodiac series on this channel. But Scorpio got Thorn Tier a long time ago. And it was like beautiful. It was one of those like, oh, Scorpio, this is gorgeous types of readings. A baptism in shadow, that kind of fits the vibe a little bit. But again, it's not necessarily dark. It's just like something unimagined and unimaginable comes into being. It doesn't have to always be some indescribable horror. It can be an unfathomable joy or bliss. It can be a win. I think Steph pulled win in Godmouth. That's too many cards. I'll look at them, but this is too many cards. Bottom of the deck is the lower world. And then we have the sun. You're not supposed to be here. The sun, completion, and AO. Okay, well, thanks for revealing yourself. Is there any other card in this deck that's not supposed to be here? See, it's like there was something within the self. There's another card. Who is this? Gutton. There's something within the self that was like always dark. Something within the self that light never touched with that lower world. But with the sun, what was the other card? Completion. With the sun and completion, it's warmed up. It breathes new life into the sacral. It's a viable womb. For the eggs that need to stay warm. It makes a womb warm for the egg. I did finish the series. Yeah. I did the La Fruma soft launch series after it launched. It's fine. I finished it though. I finished it. That's what matters. You just deleted never post. That's what I know. I'm just playing. For the ones who have one, you have one. I really thought about maybe that's what I'll work on this week. I'll go back and finish doing those. Heart of the Sky with the medicine wheel. The medicine wheel still making an appearance. Okay. Final card. Girl, this is too many. It's too much. Oh, it's only two. Okay. The Smoky Mirror and Pachamama. $40 and $47. Bottom of the deck is the Earth Keeper. I love this. Under the Earth Keeper is the eagle. It's this. Look at this. You see that? These are like the same energy, but the smoky mirror like makes it Pachamama appear as this Earth Keeper. The Earth Keeper is Pachamama. This is for you. What does this say to you? This was the bottom of the deck. There's that deck. Next, I'll put away the Tarot of the Abyss. Excuse me. Who are you? The Knight of Wands. Page of Cups at the bottom of the deck. The Knight of Wands flipped over. The Wheel of Fortune is behind the Page of Cups. This is fire. It's fire leading water. This is Loki Ash. When Reem raked Ash live, when we raked Ash with Reem, or y'all, I can't remember how much participating I did. When Ash was raked on then Miss Remy Healings, now the Rare Gazelle, if you've seen her community post about healing versus transmutation and how the everything culminated for her and what she received to share with us, then you saw the post. Um, but when she raked Ash, I I can't remember if she used the Dreams of Gaia, but there was an energy of energy goes where it needs to, or like energy goes where it needs to flow, or something like that. There was a healing element to it. Loki was also like Ash was also chaotic, and everyone was like the camera fell, and people were like you're gonna burn your hair, and girl, whew, but there was a healing energy there. And it makes me think of that because it's like fire is showing water where it's needed. Since fire is the knight and water is the page. Okay, well, now fire is on the table. Now fire's in reverse. Now fire's back upright. Fire shows water where it's needed. But in that, there's also like there's something else here that's hard to describe. It's almost like it feels like it reads like it can feel like torture. It reads like it can feel like torture because it's like the fire is hot, but you never get burned because the water comes in to soothe it. So it's almost like you get branded and then it's like cooled, and then you're branded and then it's cooled and then you're branded. That's why it reads like it can feel like torture. Like, why is this happening? This is also part of the forging process, right? You superheat metal, you make it malleable, you bend it, you cool it. Then you repeat the process until it's in the shape that you want. So we almost move from the smelting to make a certain metal or alloy previously to now that we have that metal, there's this process to shape it into whatever form it's going to take. There was also this energy in a reading recently. It was the Page of Swords and some other cards, and it was like there was something that the soul was ready to reveal that the self wasn't ready for. And so, since the self isn't ready, it's like it's communicated through the mind, through the sword, rather than through the cup. So, it's almost like whenever you have an idea, like whenever you have an inspiration to do something, it comes in as like a random thought through the mind, And then like you shoot it down because it's like, oh, well, like I'm not X enough to do that, or Y would never happen, blah, blah, blah. It's almost like that. Like it comes in through the mind because the self is too resistant. So it doesn't necessarily bubble up or emerge or build up from within. It comes in almost externally. So it's like the soul is taking this external approach because of an internal resistance, basically. And it's not necessarily that, hey David, how you doing? It's not necessarily that in particular, but it's like fire is leading water somewhere. There is a process of change though. It's like the fire is transforming something and then the water comes in to cool it depending on our relationship and how we feel. Like that's why, like, it doesn't feel like it's meant to be torture, but it feels like we can easily sort of like get to that. Or it's one of those like, why is the divine giving me a vision of this? Or why am I feeling led and guided to do that when none of it ever works out type of energy? And then it's like, well, I followed my guidance, I followed my intuition, I used my discernment, and still it led me to this dead end. But again, it's like fire is leading water. So it's a misconception of destination. Maybe we think a certain thing is a destination, so we think that we're going to be there for longer than we are, but it's like a stop along a pathway to get somewhere else. And there's something that we pick up, there's something that we experience, there's somebody that we meet that later it serves as pivotal in some way or another. But fire is leading the way and water comes behind. Interesting. It feels like it can also be like, no, I don't necessarily know nothing about Reiki, but it's like, it feels like it could be like an intuitive Reiki energy. And it's like, so the Reiki practitioner would be the fire that triggers the body to bring water to wherever it needs to go. Like the external fire triggers a internal reaction that gets the body to do what the body naturally does. It just needs an external spark to like jumpstart the process, like Flint and Tinder. Girl, look, Thorn at the bottom of the deck. Okay, so Lafruma, Thorn in 12. 66 is a 12, which is a 3. 366. 663 came out, didn't it? Or was that something else? 6 and 63. I feel like I saw 6 and 63. Ken was 6. 63 had to be the card that was under Ken. And I was just talking about the spark. LOL. Okay. I don't remember what was under. Well, we saw the candle. Was it candle? Was candle? Hold up. Is candle 63? No, it wasn't Ken Candle. Was it? Was it even 63 in this deck? Okay, it's fine. Well, let me just try to find that card real quick to see if it was. Candle is 42, so no, it wasn't Candle. All right. The card that came out is Condor. Who's at the bottom of the deck? Knight. Condor Knight. I feel like this really plays into the doubt. I feel like this is really playing up the whole doubt aspect of cosmic doubt and ulcer in the condo. It also feels like the ashes of the phoenix have been sparked. So it triggers this rebirth within the phoenix. But the reason why it feels like it plays up that doubt is because it's like it's such a small light in an otherwise dark place. So it almost like it feels like it can be easy to be like, is this a trick of the light? Like, am I seeing what I want to see in the situation almost? Is it really there? Like, did I actually see that? On the other hand, though, it's almost like because something is so dark, it makes the light even brighter. Or it's like it makes the light stand out more. Kondo always has a little bit of a burning bush sort of imagery to it. So it brings up a question of trust in the divine. It's number 44. Night is number 38. Under night is day, and then the journey. And then number 33, Gar, or Yar, is under that. 3344. The journey between day and night as the sun transits and night turns to day and to night again. There's just like, this makes it feel like it's a natural process. Something is a natural process. It's natural to doubt, I guess. And it's natural to feel uncomfortable. It's natural to doubt when we experience something for the first time, unlike anything that we've been taught or anything that we've known. And it's natural to feel uncomfortable when we're introduced to a new feeling or when we're given more of something than we believe we have the capacity to hold. But as we continue on that journey, we become more familiar. Our bodies adjust to the presence of something or another to the point where we don't even necessarily feel it. Like, how easy is it to do this? And you can feel like the strain on your ears and it pushing up against your forehead. But after, like, how much time does it take to forget that those are even there? To the point where you're like, where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? And they're right here, you know? It's also natural to grow accustomed to something. Okay. So I don't know where the back for this is, but I'll put it up in a second. Last but not least is the final alchemy card because I haven't gotten one of these yet, right? These final cards took a little longer than I thought. That's fine. It's like it's natural to have questions and it's natural to ask questions. So maybe it's not the presence of doubt that derails stuff. The presence of doubt alone, I would say no. When that doubt keeps us from making a certain choice, or when that doubt prompts us to make a certain choice, then that's probably when it becomes a little bit more detrimental. But, you know, I don't know if perfection is necessarily expected from anybody at any point in their lives. But when we don't even try, that's when we don't get anything else. When we never do, then it's never done. Ah, okay, that's fine. Final alchemy card, Quick separatio. Girl. Separation. Bottom of the deck is Lux Brumalis. The light of what is Bruma? Well, Broom is the Brahm. That's Brahm. Brahm is the cleansing room, which is number 52. We have number 70 in Separatio, separation. And then number 16 in Lux Brumalis, winter. Solutio is under Lux. So we have dissolution and separation. I finally get why this is Solutio. I was like, why is Solutio dissolution? But dissolution is like to dissolve something, right? And so you create a solution. Dissolution, dissolving creates a solution. So this is a very, I would say, difficult process. To dissolve one thing into another and then to separate them isn't easy. It's like dissolve sugar and salt in water and then separate the sugar from the salt. Never mind dissolving it in water, just like mix sugar and salt together and then try to separate one from the other. But then we have winter here. Winter makes me think of ice and snow, which makes me think of freezing. Different chemicals, different substances have different freezing points, right? When things freeze, they turn into a solid. So if the freezing points are different enough, you can essentially like freeze one thing while the other thing is still liquid and then separate them that way. You pour out the liquid. Now, when you get into like whole, it can be more complicated if like liquid particles get trapped in the ice of the other substance, sure. But like that's a thing that they do in girl, whatever. Not necessarily, I mean, those more so like they get heated up. I think it's more typical in industry to like use different boiling points. So if something boils at 10 degrees and another thing boils at 20 degrees, set the temperature to like 11 or 10. And then the thing that boils, it's going to turn into gas. You have something that collects the gas at the top, then you can recondense it to turn it back into a liquid if you want to turn it back into a liquid, or you can keep it as a gas if you want to keep it as a gas. And then the liquid that remains is another thing. And then you can get into the math of how efficient your process is at separating benzene and toluene. Oh, not the benzene toluene. I'm getting flashbacks. It's fine. You use different properties. It's not even, it is a different property, but you use different transitive properties. One thing changing from something changing from one state to another to separate them. So also if this is winter, then maybe it's like a luminosity. What was that? Condo? Is that condo? Yeah, the light in the dark. It's like if two things emit light, but like in the daytime, it's hard to tell which one is brighter. In the dark, it's easier to see how much light something emits. And so it's like, which one is brighter? The brighter one is one thing, the less bright one is the other. That's how you sort of separate them. That feels relevant, especially as darkness is something that we haven't been. I feel like we're never necessarily in a shortage of darkness, but in recent years, it's also been, let's just say, particularly abundant. But in that darkness, it's like certain things fade into the darkness, other things might, we start to see the light that they emit. And I remember at some point in 2020, probably around April, late April, May, I think, April, May, June, it was that like when the world goes dark, shine brighter energy. As long as you maintain your light, when it gets darker, it's like it's comparatively brighter, so you don't even really have to do anything. But I think that goes back to this point of like there's something that happens in the self, and then there's something that happens in the environment. There's something in our awareness that we are observing that is changing and moving, and then there's something outside of our awareness that is still changing and moving. It's just happening and we're not aware of it. So it's out of our sight and out of our mind, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it ceases to exist. But going back to this, and you see it's how like the one bird flies into the blue cup in the presence of winter. It sort of like splits out in two different directions. Maybe I should put it this way. You see that? There you go. And this is a 70. Seven being a spiritual number feels like there's an understanding that we have at the four that's disrupted at the five. And after that, we come into a greater understanding at the six. The seven is the number where we realize that there's even more that we have to yet understand. The seven is also where we begin to consider more subtle, less visible, more unseen, more external or internal, I guess, depending on the process, factors that influence an outcome. The eight is where we now begin to have this working knowledge of the tangible and intangible that increases at the nine before we reach mastery at the 10 or whatever. But the seven is in the tens place. The zero is in the ones place. For me, 10 is spirit slash the environment. One is us slash the internal. We're asked to be this basically blank slate for spirit to then come in. And it's like there's something that's happening within spirit. And it's like we're being asked to be patient while that's being figured out, which is almost weird, but it's not at the same time. It's almost like how in Christianity, like Jesus came to earth and then he went back to the Father. And then it's like now, because of his sacrifice, there's a certain tolerance or a certain level of allowance for us. It's almost like before Jesus came, everybody went to hell because it's like all of y'all are terrible. None of you are perfect. Like, what is wrong with you? It's not that hard. Then Jesus comes and he's like, okay, so I've been down there personally, firsthand. Let me tell you, it's not that easy. It really isn't that easy. Like, never mind temptation left and right. Like, you got to deal with this, you got to deal with that. And then, God was like, okay, maybe I was a little harsh. And then, after Jesus ascended to the throne and after he went to heaven, like he went down and freed people first. Some of them, chose to go up to heaven. I guess some of them chose to stay. Girl, I don't know. But it's like there's this recalibration that's happening in the weighing of a soul or in the outcome of certain choices, like the rooms that populate behind the doors. It's almost like there's something that's changing in that in this 70, and we're asked to be like just wide open, almost to be comfortable with waiting. Girl, take it as it resonates, okay? This is how it's reading. But outside of that, it can also be there. It's just like it's an understanding of what life on earth has been. Speaking of cringy movies, speaking of movies that maybe didn't age well, it's like it was acceptable at the time. And so it's reflective of the time. Now that times are different, are there certain parts that didn't age well? Maybe. But we see it for what it was then. We also see it for what it is now. We see it for what it is now with an understanding of what it was then. And it's like up until this point, we've only had everything that we've had. And so as we seek new, as we desire a completely different experience, it's almost like that zero in the ones place is like allow yourself the time to like figure out this new thing and to get comfortable. Again, going back to that, what is natural? It's natural to be uncomfortable. It's natural to have doubt, but allow yourself to proceed anyway. And then you'll get comfortable. Like you'll acclimate, you'll acclimatize, you'll adjust. You'll, what's it? I feel like it starts with an A. Adapt. You'll adapt. There's the word. And in that acclimatization and that adjusting and that adapting, you evolve. Then you go into the 8 out of the 7. It's like now you more or less have a knowing of how it works. You know what I mean? And then after that 8, you go into a 9 where you get really good at it. And then at a certain point, it becomes second nature. Or it's like it becomes second nature at the 9. It becomes your new first nature at the 10. And you're just like this new, completely different, whatever. And then maybe one day you'll be like, remember when we didn't even have this? It's like, oh my gosh, those were dark times indeed. So yeah, it's like there's something that we ask for, there's something that we want. The divine slash we slash somebody has to figure out how to like get it to us. And then either we take it and move forward or we don't, you know? Or maybe instead of like, maybe we take it, maybe we don't. It's like maybe it'll work. Maybe the first iteration of the thing will work and we proceed this way. Maybe it doesn't work, so we have to like go back to the drawing board a little bit, but because we know that this didn't work, we know to try something else. And so like we're not really going back. We never really go backwards. It reminds me of that saying that's become one of my favorite sayings since I came across it. It's like we don't start over from scratch. We start from experience, right? If you got to go and do the whole thing over again, at least you know what doesn't work. And that's something that you didn't know the first time. So now, depending on how you choose, you don't have to do that again. You can go to the next thing, right? Anyway, interesting messages, interesting times, interesting points indeed. And yeah, I feel like that it speaks to the challenge of everything that we have to come into within our own lives and as communities, cities, nations, and as a global collective. As we truly seek and desire something different than a lot of what history has had to offer us, we also at the same time too must give ourselves a certain lenience and grace to figure it out, or to not need to know the answer. Like, just because you don't like one thing doesn't mean that you automatically necessarily know what you do like, or just because you know one thing doesn't work doesn't necessarily know doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to fix it. And I think in that too, it's like sometimes we're so sure that something is a solution to a problem, and then we put it into play and it's like, okay, well, this isn't working either. I think at that point it might be a question of, do we allow ourselves the humility and the self accountability to see it as not working, or do we just keep sort of going with it anyway? Because we could always pivot and try something else, right? We don't have to stay stuck. And just because something is better than what came before, it doesn't mean that it can't be made even better. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, at least it's not as bad as it was. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's not as bad as it was, but it's still not great and it can still be better. And it's not in this endless pursuit for perfection. It's just like, but like it's to grow, to evolve and change. Not only is it human, it's also just like Earth. Things grow and evolve and change. Plants grow and evolve and change. Animals grow and evolve and change. And they all adapt to changes in their environment. Why should we be any different? Why should we expect any more of ourselves? Right? And maybe I need this. Shoot. I'm sure I do need this as I prepare to head into another season in my life where I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff I've never done before. And honestly, my narrative in the past was like to overthink and to create so many disastrous potentials that I almost paralyzed myself and I never really got started. And that's one thing that my friend like pointed out to me several times, more than was necessary, the other day. He was like, you do this thing where like you aim up here and you have these goals and you have these visions, but then you run all of these scenarios that create all of these imaginary obstacles to the point where you never even do anything. And honestly, I feel like before he said that, I didn't necessarily see it because I always saw myself as finding and creating these like ideals, but not necessarily realizing the things that my same creative brain does to work against itself and then keep me from ever really truly pursuing it. But now that I know, I'm expected to not do that anymore. So I'm like, okay, well, let's go crazy. Why not? Why settle for the moon when I can shoot for Andromeda? You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, thank you all for being here. It's been like 2.5 hours. It feels like time well spent. I hope you got something out of this if you watched it. Again, take it when it resonates, if it resonates, as it resonates. Always, always use your own intuition and discernment. If it don't fit for you, don't make it fit. Right? I mean, you can always like consider something and then be like, does that resonate as true for me? And then again, it's like I think sometimes we can like something like a part of something will resonate for us, and then it can be really easy to like, well, if a part of it resonates then the whole thing must be true, so we take things sort of like en masse when it might be for like one nugget. Maybe in all 2.5 hours of this there's like 5 minutes that truly resonates for you and your situation right now. And all that you're meant to take from this is that 5 minutes. Do not take 10 minutes or an hour or the two or the whole 2.5 hours if you're only meant to take that five. You know what I mean? And again, I feel like that kind of, yeah, I feel like it sort of plays on that. Sometimes we treat something as a destination when it's just a stop along the trip, along the journey. You don't have to settle on one thing here. You don't have to settle on anything here, but maybe it's just for you to consider. And maybe all of the consideration is just for you to like double back down on your beliefs, right? Maybe in the lack of resonance, you hold truer to what does resonate for you. Girl, I don't know. It's your life. Anyway, no problem. Glad to be here. Glad to be back home as much as I already miss London. I don't know where life is going to take me. I mean, I've already been there 3 times. I can practically navigate like the Elizabeth line, especially Canary Wharf, other lines, like, sure. You know what I mean? Like public transport, I don't really use it here, so I guess I wouldn't know. But it seems like A plus over there. Like, and then there's like the Eurostar that you can take to like France and Belgium and Amsterdam. I was like, what? Trains, subways, the underground, the overground, the air. I hope you have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. And in the mean and in between time, I also hope that you take what is for you to take. Just like in life in general, whatever it is, like take the advice or the perspective that you might need. Take that chance. Take a vacation if you need a vacation, or, take a leap, you know, challenge yourself, take on the challenge, whatever you need. I hope you take it. And I will catch y'all later. Boats. I forgot about boats. The underwater, the overwater. Speaking of, I got my eyes fixed, and there were parts of my journey that were less cloudy. Where's my phone? There were parts that were less cloudy than other parts. And so we drove over, I think it was Iceland, and like I could see like sheets of ice and stuff. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen this before." It was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool. If you've seen it before, it was cool to me anyway. All right, I'll catch y'all later. Bye. 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 Bye.